Hello everybody and welcome to the fifth round of the UK&I Radical Race Series here for 2022. It is season 1 and we've already had 4 rounds of this very, very interesting season. We're moving on to the 5th now and over to Brazil at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache, which is more commonly known as Interlagos, one of the best circuits out there. Certainly in one of these cars, I think it's going to be very, very good to see the racing, especially down in towards turn number 1, the Senna S, and indeed turn 4, where we've seen plenty of drama in recent months with races going on in the real world. We'll see how that converts and translates to the sim racing world over the next 45 minutes to an hour of this broadcast. I hope you will all enjoy the show at home at this just over 4-kilometre circuit. Before we go any further, let's give a quick reminder about what's happened so far in this season and where we stand in terms of this championship right now, because it's Simon Edwards who is running away with this championship with a pretty big lead, 150 points to his name. Next best is Graham Brown with only 97. Dan Webster is third ahead of Martin Booker, Paul Clark and two-time champion Paul Crabb. Then we've got Paul LeMay, Dave Kirkman, Darryl Taylor and John McCutcheon is in 10th place. However, he's only done 2 out of the 4 races and he's won them both. Simon Edwards hasn't been able to beat him in any of the races that McCutcheon's been in so far, so if you were to take into account the drop weeks right now, which of course we're not going to because we're only on round 5, but if you were going to do that, then those two would be on exactly the same points heading into this round. It's just food for thought going forward, because that does look like an almost unassailable margin even at this early stage, but there's still a lot to play for in this championship. As I said, I hope you'll all enjoy the show at home. My name's Ewan O'Leary. I'll be alongside Steve Proudley for the broadcast here this evening. Good to have you along once again here, Steve. We're always entertained by these radicals, and I'm sure this won't be any different here at Interlagos, which is a fan favourite for certain.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here, Ewan, again with you on the microphone and the cameras this evening. But yeah, Okayama was certainly an interesting race, and there was a few drivers tripping up over each other, a few incidents and a few accidents along the way. But it kept us all entertained, and undoubtedly there was some great racing out there as well, some good moves. Interlagos, I think it's going to be a little bit more spread out. Maybe it's a larger circuit. Obviously, there's going to be some good slipstreaming effect here. There's going to be some high-speed corners. It's got the tight, twisty stuff. It's going to be some good racing. I think it attracts good racing here, and obviously it's going to favour the Brave down into turn 1. I think tonight, and I think there could be some big moves after on the slipstream into turn 1.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same thing actually, running all the way down, because the way you look at the track map, you're thinking, well, where's the long straight? Well, it's not really straight, but from Juncao all the way up to the Senna S, turn 1 as we were talking about, it is one long flat out run where you will be getting an almighty slipstream, and so that's where we're really thinking the moves are going to be made. Turn 4 as well is a little bit of an overtaking opportunity, but it's slightly less of a braking zone into the Cinderado, and so it's a little bit more difficult. It's a faster corner as well, so more difficult to make it work, but could could still happen. And of course the famous iRacing line going into the final corner there, sticking right to the right hand side all over the AstroTurf to get the best run possible onto this front straight. We're into qualifying at the moment. 10 minutes for these guys to sort themselves out. 3 laps for them to get ready and try and get up towards the front as much as they can. It was Simon Edwards, John McCutcheon and Paul Crabb, 3 champions of this, previous champions of the UK&I Radical Race Series in the past, 1, 2 and 3 in the practice session. We're expecting to see something similar here today, but as I mentioned in the intro, Simon Edwards hasn't been able to beat John McCutcheon in any of the races that McCutcheon's attended this season, so it gives us a bit of excitement for the rest of this season, and it gives us a bit of a storyline today. Can Edwards finally do it? The practice times would certainly suggest that he can, and he's started off this qualifying session strongly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think qualifying here is important. It's it's all about getting that good run down into turn 1, Ewan, and getting away and trying to get your head down. And we saw last time out, there's definitely there was a split in the field. The top 4, I think it wasn't the top 5, was it? I think it was the top 4 definitely had a bit of a pace advantage over the rest of the field, and I'd be interested to see if we see that sort of same differential coming out tonight. And in that case, then this could be an easier track for them to break away if they don't trip up over each other. We saw Paul Crabb getting involved in a few incidents last week, and he ended up making very hard work of Okiyama in the end. Put some great moves on us coming back through the pack, but then tripped over a couple of cars again, and as much as he was going forward at some points, it was almost 1 step forward, 2 steps back for him. So he'll be glad to get Okiyama out of the way. Maybe that might be one of his drop rounds, not sure, but he'll be looking to make amends tonight, and certainly maybe hunting for a podium position this evening as he just slots into 5th place. Sorry, no, takes provisional pole there with a lap. Called it just a fraction second too early there, but he's gone on to provisional pole. So yeah, he's definitely hunting the podium this evening, I think.
The first lap here for these guys does seem to be a much slower one, and then they do really get up to speed quite quickly, and you can go much quicker, as Paul Crabb has just demonstrated. We did get into the 26s in practice with Simon Edwards, but it was only a mid-27 for him on the last one. There's only one more opportunity for him, I believe. I think there's only 3 laps for all of these guys to actually get something done in these sessions. There is 10 minutes. As McCutcheon goes to the front, he's quite late in the cycle. He is going to be coming out quite late, so we'll see some of the main contenders like Crabb and LeMay and Edwards come over the line very shortly. And then about half a lap later, we'll see McCutcheon come over the line, possibly to snatch pole away again. But McCutcheon, that was pretty much as fast as he went in the practice session for the 2021 champion in Season 2. It's pretty much what he's done now is pretty much as fast as he'd gone all practice. So how much time is there left to find for him here is the question, because he might be reaching the limit of his powers, as Edwards can't replicate his practice time already. 2nd place, that's his qualifying over, and he is not going to be on pole, which is going to be a disappointment to the series leader.
Yeah, for sure, and just touching on what you were saying there about searching for those extra tenths as well, it is very, very difficult when you're on such a limited amount of laps to get that perfect lap in, and it really is difficult now, as we're seeing quite a few cars returning to pits because they've done their laps, their time is now set, and they've done the best they can. So we may not see too much improvement over the leaderboard now, as a lot of the cars have crossed the line for the final time now. So it's going to be interesting to see. We've got McCutcheon, like you say, up on provisional pole at the minute with a very small margin from Edwards and a 3/10 gap further back for Crabb. So I don't think the field is split up quite as much as they were last week, Ewan, but there's still a definite gap there between the sort of top 4, 5 and then down to 8, 9, 10. The gap grows quite a bit there.
Yeah, we did see a very defined top 5 1 week ago. We've got a similar thing going on here with Mike Booth in the final of the top 5, stretching away a little bit from the rest. Graham without the E, in 6th position. We've got 2 Graham Browns, in case you were wondering what I'm on about, and they're spelt differently, thankfully. One of them, in this case, the Graham Brown qualified in 6th position. He's in 2nd in the championship, so doing well. Consistent finishes have allowed him to do that. 3 out of 4 races he's been in the top 5. Four out of four for Simon Edwards, obviously 3 out of 3 for Dan Webster as well. He's not been at one of them, and I can't see him here right now either. But yeah, he's managed to get in the top 5 as well. Very important if you want to score a lot of points to get in the top 5, because of the point system really. It's 1 point a position if you're outside the top 5, but if you get into it, then it could be up to 5 points for one overtake. So you do have to get into the top 5 really if you want to be scoring maximum points, and that's exactly what Simon Edwards has been able to do so far this season. But on this occasion, it's been McCutchinson who has overhauled him. Coming towards the end of this qualifying session, there's pretty much nobody with any time left other than James Child here, who's the only person left with actual laps to burn here, and he's only going to be able to get one of them in. He could have gone round for another one, but he's going to run out of time here in this one. Considering the fact he's going to get quicker, probably going to be the top 15 for him as he really ramps up the speed throughout his 3 qualifying laps, as it tends to do over the line here for Child. And doesn't look, it is an improvement, nearly inside the top 10 there, just underlining really that this track really does improve very quickly indeed as you go along. But that qualifying order looks pretty set. McCutchinson really taking an early stranglehold on this one. We'll see how he can convert this one in the race, because it is a completely different animal. But we've seen already 2 times this season that McCutchinson has got to the front and controlled 2 races.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about that control, isn't it? About getting the the qualifying in, doing the job, and McCutchinson's done that job. He's got on pole position with Simon Edwards alongside him, Paul Crabb in 3rd. So it's going to be hot to trot into turn 1, I think you might say. And McCutchinson will definitely be looking to get a clean getaway through those corners. He won't want to be going side by side 2 wide or even 3 wide, as we've seen sometimes at Interlagos. He's going to want to look to get a nice clean start and see if he can stretch his legs, and if he can't gap Simon Edwards and Paul Crabb, he'll be certainly looking to maybe work together with them to pull a bit of a gap on the rest of the guys, as it were, just to try and get away from the rest of the pack. And we saw at Okayama, to be fair, that the pace difference between some of the guys at the front wasn't that great, and they did seem to tuck in behind each other. They did do the sensible option, and they did sort of play it out amongst themselves, and it'd be interesting to see what the tactics are tonight.
Well, indeed. Let's have a look at the starting grid, shall we? Just before we get underway, McCutchinson and Edwards on the front row together, 2 champions there together, and then another champion, Paul Crabb, in 3rd position. Paul LeMay is next with Mike Booson and Graham Brown on the 3rd row together. Booker, Kirkman, Clark, LeMay rounds out your top 10, and then on the 6th row of the grid it's James Child against Olivier Ettridge into turn 1. We'll see how that one pans out. It's going to be Richard Brown and Sergio Cruz on the next row, ahead of Darryl Taylor, Martino Ward, Langford, Bird, Wynne, Jocelyn, your top 20, then Peasley, Rowe, Dowson and Glover, and finally Adcock, Noble and Robertson to round off your 27 car grid for this one. And the slightly uphill run up to the first corner here at Interlagos, which is going to be wreaking havoc with a few of these guys making the start. All very important indeed. With Simon Edwards on the inside line, what can he do there? Can he get a good launch and maybe dive at his championship rival into turn number 1? It's all about the launch, of course, getting the best reaction and minimal wheel spin as well to make sure you get that good start. Just wait for Mike Boothen to get in here, and he is now. So we should be seeing the lights at the top of our screen in a few moments' time. The 5th round of the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series for 2022 Season 1 is about to get underway, and we do. It's not a good start for Edwards at all. He's not able to really get alongside McCutchinson, but the 2 of them have burst away from the field here. They've already got a few car lengths. They go single file into there, but behind it is all side by side, 2 and 3 wide as they try and figure themselves out. James Charles been able to get his way into the top 10, but immediately out of it again as they're all being careful for the centre. It's a very clean start from everybody on this occasion, which is good to see. There's a slipstream for the lead, but nothing changing up there. A little bit of side by side in the background, but a very, very clean start between everybody.
Yeah, absolutely great to see there the car streaming through turn 1, turn 2 and down the straight, but everybody sort of falling into line. Hutchinson didn't seem to get the best of starts, but he's pulling away with Edwards there in the front. They've got a nice cushion, and I expected P3 and P4 to go with them, Booker and May, but they haven't. They're just falling back, and there's a definite gap forming there already. A second and a half clear, which is quite considerable considering we've only just over half a lap completed at the moment.
And some of that came within the start there. They both got very, very good starts. Edwards not quite, well, they were quite equal really, considering McCutcheon gets a bit of a head start. They were fairly equal, but they were much better than the rest of the field, and you can see the results of that, them two getting away from all this that's happening a little bit further down the field. Now, what is the slipstream like? We said at the start of the day that the run from Juncao to the Centre S is going to be monumental, and here it is. Martin Booker under a lot of pressure from everybody here. First, Paul LeMay is going to be on his outside line, and you think he wears Paul Crabb. Well, he's a little bit further back. Unfortunately, he's had a bad start for the second week in a row as the guys go side by side. Booker had to leave the space for LeMay there, but he's not quite got the job done as LeMay, and now they're going to go side by side even still. Mike Bouston thought about making it free wide, but decides not to. He's going to fall into line here as well, or maybe, no, not quite diving it down the inside, but look at Paul Crabb. He's just going through the bottom of his shot at the moment. 11th place for him, another bad start, and he's been doing this 3 weeks in a row now. He had to fight with a lot of people at Donington Park. He had to do it last week at Okayama. He's doing it again here at Interlagos, I'm afraid.
Yeah, absolutely seems to be able to have the hot lap pace to get himself up at the sharp end, but then on the race starts he just seems to go backwards and then start to try and fight forward. He's definitely got pace, he's definitely got racecraft. It just seems to be struggling in that opening lap just to get things right and to stay in the position he's qualified in at least, let alone move forward. He just needs to concentrate on maybe not going backwards. It's easy to say from where I'm sat, I must admit.
Yeah, absolutely, it is easy for us to say, as we see Kirkman go a little bit wide there, or Kirkman going through, I think that is, on Brown, Graham Brown, who just went a little bit wide. He started on the third row of the grid. He's already down to 7th, I'm afraid, and might be 8th in a moment because Clark is not too far behind. Brown trying to head his way back down the inside again. Bit of retaliation for his mistake at Juncao, being squeezed, but just to not give it enough space, although not quite. Oh, he's lost the car. He's lost the car and he's got it into the barrier. It's quite heavy damage as well. That tyre barrier just sticks out ever so slightly, and so you can get into contact with it quite easily. That's exactly what's happened to the second place man in this championship. He's going to be losing points today, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted, is it there? It's just unfortunate, but Paul Crabb's looking like he's on a bit of a charge now. He's closing up on LeMay again, who in turn is closing up on Clark in front. So this is could be an easy couple of positions for Crabb if he gets his lines right, and he's certainly got the inside line there, and he's going to go up a position there on LeMay, and he gets that job done quite convincingly. And now he's going to focus on Clark ahead, and he's not got too far to go before he's back. In fact, I think by the time they get through the next couple of corners, he'll be in prime position to get that slipstream that we're talking about. If he doesn't do the job earlier, is he trying to prove me wrong? He just looked to go up the inside there but couldn't quite get the job done. He's gone out very, very wide there to get a better exit. He's going to try and maximise that exit. It looks like he fell back a little bit, but in doing so he's going to have a good run now, and by the time we get halfway down what we will call the back straight, even though it's not quite straight, he's definitely going to be looking to make a move. We can see Kirkman ahead though. We're going 3 wide now.
Yeah, 3 wide. This is for 4th position between Kirkman, Bouston and Booker. Bouston's been making his way through this order very quickly indeed. He's still going side by side with Kirkman. He can't quite make that one work. Booker just watching on behind. Clark and Crabb have both been able to gain a bit of pace and get into this battle as well. Crabb went a little bit too wide really at Juncao there and lost all of his momentum instead of gaining it, but maybe now he's got enough to go down the inside. Even still, not able to do it at turn 4, but a little bit wide from Clark. He gave the room, even though Crabb wasn't really alongside there. He could have maybe taken the racing line, but decided not to. Still on the inside line. He's going to stay in front, so they all head up the hill once again into the middle sector. This is turning into a fantastic battle. It's much like what we've seen so far in most of the races this season. The front few guys get away, and then for this midfield, it is very, very entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. Edwards and McCutcheon up at the front there, Hutchinson in the lead. It literally is half a second clear, and that gap seems pretty stagnant, but what isn't stagnant is this battle for third and fourth at the moment. It's swapping and changing, literally pointing the nose down, trying to get down the inside, trying to be in some really tight line there, and looking like potentially going to look up the inside, but couldn't quite make any progress there. But certainly tucking into the slipstream now and looking to make a move. But there's three of them there, and it's looking like Booker, to be fair, is in prime position for gaining a position at this time.
Outside line, but he's got that car in front, so he can't quite break as deep as he wanted to, and he's going to have to fall into line there. Poor Crab finding this a little bit difficult as well, but Clark gets slowed up by Booker ever so slightly, and maybe Crab has got the opportunity now. Heading through turn 3, he's very, very close, and I'll be surprised if he doesn't at least attempt something here, although Clark is thinking of the same thing on Booker. Not 3 wide into turn 4, surely not, but we might be about to do it. Goodness me. We saw Crab there locking it up, trying to stay out of the way because he didn't want that to turn into an accident. In the end, no positions changed somehow, and charges are getting involved. It's all getting very, very close indeed through this midfield battle, but somehow Crab's not been able to really make progress like we were expecting.
No, he seems to be struggling a little bit, although he's just seen Cruz there just getting a bit deep, braking a bit late and a bit too hard, but not just really lost 2 or 3 positions, to be fair. I'm going to say no harm, no foul, but he definitely lost a few positions. But Crab, he's certainly come up against Clark now, and he's struggling to get past that 7th place Clark, and he's putting a lot of pressure on Clark, and Clark just seems to be soaking it up. He doesn't seem to be phased. He's not really driving defensively either, and he's driving his lines. He's absolutely maximising the speed he can out of that radical to stay in front, and he's making Crab work very, very hard for no avail at the moment.
Yeah, it's becoming quite difficult. Crab once again struggling here. The fact that the slipstream of Booker is helping Clark here is not. It's making Crab's life a little bit more difficult, and the fact that Clark keeps going on for moves on Booker as well is not helpful either. But maybe now is the opportunity. We thought this last lap around because Crab got a good run on Clark. However, Clark had a go on Booker himself, so maybe now this is the opportunity with a little bit more margin to have a dive into. Still though, Crab, the old fade there from Clark, just defending to the inside and then pulling back to the racing line here once again to not really lose any time. Maybe, Crab 2 wheels on the grass. That is not going to work. Trying to make it work down there and through the inside up the hill here at 6 and 7. Crab's getting almost desperate already. We're approaching a third distance in this one, and he's starting to look every which way at the moment. He cannot find a way through, and he's just getting desperate almost.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the laps are ticking away. Obviously, we're on lap 6 of 17 already, and it seems seconds since the race start, but obviously it's not. And we're watching the battle in earnest here. But Crab is really, really trying. He's going wide. We did see Clark start to try and defend a little bit there. He felt the need to defend, but it looks like Crab's certainly got a better run out of that final corner this time, and he's going to be. I think he's going to be alongside the start-finish straight now.
He should well be, as we see going past the pit lane, and maybe the opportunity to head down the inside. There is space there for Crab if he wants it, and he's going to take it this time, finally take the initiative. Maybe does he brake late enough though? Not really. Side by side with Clark ahead, and Crab didn't really get the run throughs turn 2 and the centre S that he really needed to make the move here. Child did get a pretty good run. Let's have a look meanwhile at a replay of stuff going on a little bit further back. Guy Robertson on the outside line, he's going to just go straight on. We saw that car parked on the outside a little bit earlier, and that's how he got there. A very strange moment, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely, it was a strange one, but also we've got notice that Martin Booker's had a little bit of an incident as well, so let's have a look at that.
Well, this is a separate one into turn 4. Colin Wynn involved. Does he go for it? He goes wide through turn 4 and he loses that place once again. Bit of exchange of position there, bit of bumping and barging, but poor Crab just can't find his way through at the minute. A little bit wide from Clark there as Kirkman and Boutsen now battle. These two have got away from that midfield battle we saw not so long ago, and a bit of a squeeze there, and over and under, a very nice one from Mike Boutsen there, using the characteristics of the Junção corner to absolute perfection and taking the shortest route around this front straight as well, if that makes any sense. Just trying to get his nose in front, but Kirkman with that run on the outside line just seems to be, look at that, he's just powered straight back past again, almost like Boutsen down on power, and straight away Kirkman back through again as, meanwhile, Crab still can't find his way through. He's tried that move a couple of times on clock now. It's not worked out.
He didn't, but he backed out of it a little bit sooner to get a better run into turn 1, because he's certainly coming under pressure from behind his Crab right now as well, because they're almost going to go 3 wide, but Crab's going to look down to the inside again, and not sure he's going to get it done this time, but a little bit closer than previous laps. But this is turning into a 4-car battle now, and Crab's going to find himself defending as much as attacking now, I think.
Yeah, he really is. Child is very much on the back of them, and Olivia Ettridge is here. Oliver Ettridge, excuse me, in ninth position at the moment. There he is with LeMay just behind. Not Paul LeMay, who's up in 3rd position. That is Michael LeMay, who's in 10th. And the LeMay bit is all one, so you work it out for yourselves. Ettridge, though, 9th position at the moment with Chowder, Crab and Clark all up in front. Boosters be able to get away with Kirkman as well. But yeah, once again, this midfield battle delivering here. Crab going very wide, and I almost feel at times too wide to actually get that run properly onto the front straight. It's
almost like he's. I'm no expert, but it's almost like he's overdriving it a little bit. He's trying to extend the track limits to get that maximum sort of open the corners up as much as possible. But I think that's costing him grip and traction, and he's just not getting the drive that he's maybe trying to get. And he's just, he's trying every trick in the book. I mean, Clark is doing a sterling job of holding him back, and there's just nothing Crab can do. And we know how quick Crab is. He's shown that in his hot lap pace. But at the moment, he's just really, really struggling.
I'm also a little bit concerned about his off-track situation, actually, as he tries to head down the inside again, but with no real conviction. Although the exit might just allow an opening here, coming through turn 4. Oh, they slam into each other. Coming down this straight around the outside through 6 and 7 is going to be a very long way, and Clark is surely going to push him out this one, but no, he can't quite. That flowing run around the outside finally allows the 2-time champion to make his way on past. That had been coming for a very, very long time, but he's finally got it done. And meanwhile, Michael LeMay is getting it done on James Child here, because Child went for that move on Clark. It didn't, on Ettridge. It didn't pay off. Ettridge got through. And now LeMay has done the same. Brown is here as well. It's all happening in the midfield, but what a nice move that was from Crab.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic move, and he's been working on it for a while, hadn't he? But the guys up at the front, they're just storming away at the moment. They're nearly just around about 8 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, but still only that half a second gap between McCutcheon and Edwards. So it's going to be interesting to see if Edwards can do anything. We are on lap 10 now of 17. So we're well over halfway through, and running out of time for Edwards. I know he's hanging on to the back, but is it a case of he's hanging on, or is it a case of he's just biding his time when he's going to start putting an attack on? I think he's struggling to stay with John McCutcheon.
Yeah, I do as well. I think if he was biding his time, he'd be a little bit closer than this. He wouldn't want to hang this far back voluntarily, I wouldn't have said, but you never know. Martina Ward down the inside of Phil Jocelyn at the moment. This is more like what we want to see at turn number 4, a little bit later on the brakes, and that's how you get the move done, really. When Paul Crab was trying to make the move through there, he wasn't braking late enough, he wasn't getting far enough down the inside, but Ward has been able to do that one on this occasion, and Jocelyn's been pushed down. Maybe Dalston will be able to have a go at him as well here. But yeah, nice move there into turn 4. It's a difficult one, really, because it's not a huge braking zone. Really fast corner as well, but Martina Ward showing that it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely, and Crab's certainly, now he's got past Clark, he's starting to pull a little bit of a gap on him, and he's closing in on the guys in front now, so he's going to be very much looking to try and close up on Busson in P5, and try and gain another position, but Kirkman looking to set some good laps here, and he's got Busson right behind him in his tail tracks. That could be slowing them down, because see Crab there with a big lock up into turn 1. That's not going to help his cause, but that's how hard he's trying. He's definitely pushing. He can see these guys ahead, he can see they're battling, so he's thinking, yeah, I'll have some of that. That's going to be slowing them down a little bit.
Absolutely. We saw just a little bit further back, Langford dropping down a couple of places. Might have been a small spin, but not entirely sure. Oh, we might be able to see here. Oh, it is on the entry to Junção. Not the place where you want that to happen either, really, because it damages your run all the way onto the the front straight as well, but the spin did enough damage really to be worrying about his run onto the front straight. So yeah, goes for a quick spin on the entry to Junkao. We saw quite a lot of those on the entry to the hairpin at Okayama, which was a strange place, I thought, to be having spins. Maybe Junkao a little bit more understandable, but even so, these cars not the easiest to drive, although these guys got it under control at the moment. Kirkman, a bit of a mistake there. Boosen allowed to get involved, and now what are the runs going to be? Oh, it's a bit wide. Oh, it's very wide from Kirkman. He's all over the curb in the AstroTurf, and Boosen is going to be down his inside possibly here before he can even get to the home straight, and there it is, down the inside for Boosen. But we saw last time Kirkman just has more power, more speed, and clearly less drag on that car. Look at Crab as well, he's gaining on both of them, 3 wide, possibly down the inside for 4th position. Can he make it all work? It looks like Kirkman's able to take his own line, although he goes very deep with it. Boosen not too much shallower either, and Crab had the opportunity to get a run on everybody there, but he was just stalled out by the 2 cars in front.
Yeah, absolutely. Seen him in the slipstream now. He's really focused, looking for a perfect braking point here. But he's got 2 positions ahead now, and this is when you're that 3rd man in the chain. And there's a little bit less pressure on you than there is the 2 guys in front. Obviously, they're really close now and absolutely maximum attack. But they will be both aware that Crab's there as well, and he's got no one to defend from at the moment. He's got a slight gap back, although it's not very big. But yeah, looking like he's got down the inside there as he.
They all went wide. Matt Kirkman went wide and Boosen followed him, and Crab, and he took advantage of all of that. Clark was getting involved. Ettridge wants to beat to that as well, as Boosen gets a good run. Oh dear, coming out of turn 10, and they nearly slam into each other. Crab trying to get involved as well, but not able to do it. Now using his wide line, but a little bit shallower on the entry this time to hopefully get a better run. And he has swung around the outside nicely from Boosen, but he's got a long way round here, and he's not going to get the slipstream of Kirkman either, because Kirkman's going to pull to the left hand side and give it to Boosen. But it doesn't even matter, even with the slipstream, Crab is still quicker than Boosen. And look at that, goodness me, Boosen's struggling for a lot of straight line speed at the minute, as Clark is down his inside at the minute, not quite able to do that, as Ettridge is going to try and take advantage. They do make contact, oh, and that is Clark very much put onto the outside line. It didn't look like there was a lot in that really, but it's had dramatic consequences as Clark drops out the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. The battle's coming in thick and fast. A couple of laps ago, it looked like they'd spread out and found their own rhythm and their own space. You know, when I say spread out, we're talking half a second or so. But then, very, very quickly, these guys pull it all back into within the 10th or 2 of each other, and what looks like a comfortable position is all of a sudden you're under threat from 1, 2, 3, 4, and even 5 cars in the battle. So, absolutely awesome racing here. And to be fair, when we saw this track on the calendar, I had a feeling that this one was going to be good for battling.
Yeah, it always is. And it's more synonymous really with championship finales, but we've got one at the North side, so we're looking forward to that in 7 weeks' time. It's going to be just under 2 months' time, so yeah, look forward to that one. Look out for that one coming up here as well in the UK&I Radical Race Series. But in the here and now, Paul Crab has got to get up some more positions here. Kirkman is the one next, but yeah, the absolute rocket ship in the straight line, particularly when battling with Boosen. What about Crab? You can see the slipstream here, but it's almost having no effect at all. Kirkman has made himself very difficult to overtake here, pulling onto the outside line, Crab, but we've seen him not too brave on the brakes so far in this race. Don't expect that to really change into turn number 1 unless we get very late on in this race. Good runs out the corners once again. Kirkman once again under a lot of pressure leading onto a straight, but he's just able to hold the margin with the straight line speed that he has. Crab's going to hit a wall of air when he gets out of the slipstream here, but he's finally going to be brave enough to go for it at turn 4. And goodness me, that closeness might just show why he exercised caution throughout the first part of this race, because that was a bit too close for comfort almost. As they go into each other again, he squeezes Kirkman to the inside, trying to shallow his line, but it's not paid off very well for Crab at all, because it's ended up with Kirkman in the side of Crab. And so the 2-time champion has paid the price, and they're all paying the price now. Ettridge, LeMay, all of them involved. That was a big stuck up going through 8 there.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a few cars stacked up, a bit of contact there. Just going to try and find a replay of that if I can. No notification of the replay for me to go to, but yeah, absolutely. But what is happening up at the front? The gap is closed right down you, and all of a sudden Edwards has got some pace, and he is on the back of McCutcheon.
Starting to feel very similar to the Spa race that we had 3 weeks ago, where McCutcheon and Edwards battled it, or they got away. They ran in a line like this and got far enough away until the final couple of laps were Interlagos. Simon Edwards went for it a couple of times and wasn't able to pull off the move. McCutcheon able to run out victorious in that one, but the reigning champion here, Edwards, has not been able to beat McCutcheon in either of the 2 races that the Scotsman has done so far in this championship. So it would be pretty symbolic and pretty important for him to get this victory here, if he can, of course. Paul Crabbe falls down to 10th position, I'm afraid, trying to become a 3-time champion in the UK&I Radical Race Series, but it's not turning his way this season as De La Cruz and Clark battle side by side. Cruz has been almost in the same position almost the entire race, with cars dipping in and out either side of him. Cruz has been, Clark, has been one of those dropping back. We saw a little bit earlier on. You see Kirkman and Boosen back together again here, but and Kirkman, oh dear, bit of a mistake coming through turn 10, and it just shows when in a tight battle like this what a small mistake can do. As we have a bit of a look at a replay of Phil Glover heading into the fastest corner on the circuit, which can never be good. Oh dear, that's going to be a hefty impact there. Well, it wasn't as hefty as I was expecting, but still not good to see, and still loses a lot of time there, I'm afraid. Kirkman's got good straight line speed here, so he might not have too many problems defending from Michael LeMay into turn 1 this time, and that's not going to stop LeMay having a go, although braking a little bit early. It's turn 1, and so you're going to see Kirkman stay in front just for the moment through the centre. This midfield battle spreads out a little bit as the leading 2 get a lot closer. Surely Simon Edwards isn't waiting for the very final lap here.
He's trying to put on the show for us, Ewan. He's been biding his time. Just when we thought he didn't have the pace, he was 6-7 tenths back. He's closed that gap down to within sort of 3 tenths now, 2 tenths even at points. He's definitely hunting for that top step of the podium. Really unfortunate to see Crabbe down in 10th place. He's had some fantastic battles this race so far, and his luck seems to have run out. He was side by side, he was running wide and doing everything he could to put on a good show for us tonight. So really disappointed for him to see him down in 10th. But let's focus on this battle now in front.
Look at this, McCutcheon going very wide to try and get the slipstream. Everything he can, he's using every advantage that he can to try and fend off his rival, reigning champion Simon Edwards, down the outside line. It's going to have to be McCutcheon protecting the inside line. Edwards not willing to hang it around there for the inside at 2. He'd rather a better run through the centre S, but McCutcheon was wise to that one. He got a pretty good run himself, but he won't have the slipstream that Edwards will. If we go down towards the Descida de Largo, turn number 4, not a big braking zone. Is it going to be enough for Edwards here? McCutcheon nearly able to pull onto the racing line. Once again, Edwards outside line, not able to do anything. Good run again out of 4 and 5, but this is a very fast corner indeed. You can't surely make your way around the outside or indeed inside. Up the hill at Ferradura here into turn 8, 9, 10 and 11. They go through the middle sector, and then it's all going to be on Junkau and the run up towards the line. Surely this isn't going to be good enough for Simon Edwards. He's followed his rival all the way. McCutcheon pulls wide into turn 10, almost half suggesting that he doesn't want to lead going on to this final straight here. How powerful is the slipstream going to be? Is it going to be enough to pull the reigning champion alongside and past the Scotsman to try and take this win here at Interlagos? It's a fantastic run for McCutcheon. Surely that will be enough. Surely the slipstream isn't this powerful that if Simon Edwards can pull this one off, it will be a miracle. McCutcheon is going to come up towards the line here. The gap is closing and closing. It's under 2/10 of a second. Edwards continues to close, but it's not going to be enough. It's only a 10.5, but John McCutcheon takes his 3rd race win out of the 3 races he's attended this season. It's a fantastic run for him, as we see Paul LeMay in a world of his own, getting a podium here this evening. What a race that was up front. It was nose to tail from start to finish, but only a 10.5 separate the 2 of them at the end. And these guys were providing the entertainment a little bit further back as well. 2-time champion Paul Crabbe only 9th in what is turning into an almost disaster season for him. Losing points to the front two once again, but a very, very close finish there. The closest we've had all season. Will do well to beat that in any of the previous races we've had in this series as well. A very, very close finish.
Didn't disappoint again, did it, Ewan? It was absolutely fantastic racing this evening. Just waiting for the results to come up and we can just give you the final standings as we see them. But absolutely awesome racing from the guys. A fantastic display this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very, very good race indeed, especially in that midfield battle for what was fourth place in the end. The battle for first was nose to tail, but single file for almost all of that one. Edwards finally giving it a go in the last 1 or 2 laps, but it wasn't enough in the end. He got close, only a tenth and a half, and he will be ruining the opportunities missed, I think. But 4 valuable points picked up for him today. McCutcheon 3 wins out of the 3 races that he's done. He only took it by a tenth and a half. There it is ahead of Simon Edwards. Paul LeMay, as I mentioned, did a ward of his own to get that podium. Mike Booson was able to finish 4th ahead of James Chowder, rounding out the top 5. Dave Kirkman was involved in the battles all day long with Oliver Ettridge, Richard Brown, Paul Crabb and Sergio Cruz rounding out the top 10. Paul Clark, was also involved in that crazy midfield battle throughout the race. Michael LeMay was there as well, but had a late problem to finish 12th. Colin Wynne and Jamie Bird were battling it out ahead of Martina Ward, who finished 15th. Then it was Dave Dowson, Phil Jocelyn and Darryl Taylor rounding out the top 18. And there we have it, the race of Interlagos here in the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series here, the 12-round championship, which sees us head to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in 1 week's time, as we really dash across the globe in the next couple of weeks. But a couple of rounds in North America coming up, as I mentioned. Mosport next and Watkins Glen after that. 2 similar circuits in their flowing nature, and it might be a little bit more difficult to overtake on than this one, but maybe a little bit more fun to drive. We'll see about that one. But yeah, it's hopefully it promises to be 2 more interesting ones. We'll hope to get a couple of these drivers in for a quick chat after the race here, Steve. But very entertaining once again. McCutcheon just about holding off Edwards towards the very end, and fair play to them both. They were nose to tail all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great battling tonight, some great racing, as we always see week in, week out. But it's some had the luck, some didn't, some had the skill. But there was some great battling from whichever angle you were looking at it. Whether you were at the sharp end of the field, mid-pack, back end, there was fighting all over the place, and they certainly gave us a difficult job trying to follow, choosing which battle to follow tonight. And credit to all the guys for some good racing tonight.
Absolutely, we hope to speak to at least some of the podium getters after that one, but it's a bit confusing in the Discord at the moment. But yeah, hopefully McCutcheon will join us soon. But just mentioning those next couple of weeks here, Steve, we've got Mosport and Watkins Glen, 2 much more flowing circuits in terms of you're turning fairly often, but there are some overtaking opportunities there, a little bit of chance for some slipstream, but I'd imagine these cars will be very, very fun around those couple of circuits.
Yeah, very fun. I mean, Mosport in particular with the undulation and it just changes, height and blind apexes there. It's going to be an interesting track to watch at, is that one. And Watkins Glen, it's one of the classics, isn't it? I think most motorsport fans know and love Watkins Glen. I certainly do. It's looking like we've got a few guys in the interview booth, Ewan, if you want to have pick one of them and have a chat.
Yeah, let's start having a bit of a chat, shall we? Because we're busy talking about next week, but we're not done with this week yet. We'll talk to Simon Edwards first, who came second in that one in the end. Very, very close in the end, but just talk us through that final lap. You threw everything at it into turn 1 and 4 in particular, but it wasn't to be in the end. What was the last lap like from your perspective?
Well, I'd eaten all my front tyres in his wash the whole race, just trying to eke back towards him. I was doing it by hundreds, getting there for that last lap, and I didn't have enough confidence in the brakes with no front tyres to really send one. But I really enjoyed that race. I was just trying to get him to make a mistake so I could get a proper opportunity, but he was too good, and he didn't do one. So that was all I had, really. I probably wouldn't have been able to do another lap without just understeering really badly behind him, because I ate my front tyres in that last lap trying to get close.
It was, it's difficult to sit in the wash all race long as you did in the end. Now, it's been 3 races that McCutcheon has done. He's beaten you to the post 3 times now. You finished 3rd each 3 times, but are you concerned about that, or are you just particularly pleased with the points that you're picking up each week in, week out? Because you're having a fantastic season so far.
A bit of both. I like to beat John at least a couple of times, over a season, and it's always great to race him. He's got the qualifying on me. I can't qualify as well as him, for starters, and I'm just trying to make good choice racing, so I'm not throwing my car into a dodgy situation or taking a big risk. So I'm being probably a bit too cautious in the middle of that race, but a bit of both. I want to beat John, obviously, but picking up points is the main thing for the championship.
Yeah, and you're doing it very well at the moment, so congratulations on that, another 2nd place, and we'll see you in a week's time. But for now, enjoy another strong performance, and thanks for coming to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Here we are, Simon Edwards from 2nd position in the race. We'll move down to 6th position now, because Dave Kirkman is also joining us. Since we've not got McCutcheon in here for the win, we'll talk to some others and see what was happening a little bit further down the field. I'll say that we kind of already know, because we were watching you, Dave, for quite a lot of that race. To be honest, you were in the battles for almost its entirety. It must have been a very intense race from where you were sat.
It was. I'm sweating like you wouldn't believe. That was really tough for me, and I was really struggling at the end with the tyres to hang on, really. And unfortunately, I just made that small mistake into that right-hander, and unfortunately let Mike and James through. But yeah, wow, that was another intense race. It's just frustrating. I didn't finish 4th, but finishing 6th is still a good result, really, for me.
It certainly is. It's a strong finish there. Do you think, though, you saw the tyres going off? We obviously noticed that with your mistake late on. But what could you have done differently in that race, really, to not have let that happen? Because it looked like everybody was going at a ferocious pace, really, and the battling was really, really fierce as well. So was there really anything you could have done any differently when it's so tight and when it's so competitive?
Well, I think I ran a slightly lower downforce setup. I don't know whether you noticed, but I could outdraft Mike, and Mike just couldn't get past me down the straight. So, and normally, I mean, Mike's an alien in my book, so I would normally never be near him. So I think that really helped me out down the straight. But yeah, when the tyre started to go, I really noticed it in the corners, and I think the people with the higher downforce probably were able to kind of keep it on the track a bit easier, which is why they were bunching right behind me, and I was having to drive quite defensively, actually, to make sure that they didn't come past me. I think it might have been Mike that really pushed me wide, just coming out of the turn 4, the left-hander, where we went in side by side. But it was really close, hard, fair racing, which is what the league's all about, really. It was good fun. I hope it was good to watch as well.
Certainly was. We certainly enjoyed watching it here in the commentary box. So thanks for the entertainment. it was very good. But no, thanks for coming to talk to us. It's been good to speak to you after that race, and congratulations on the result today.
Yep, thank you very much. I'll see you next week.
Yes, we'll see you next week indeed. Dave Copeman from 6th position. And finally, we've got one more to go here in the interview booth. Phil Glover is also joining us here from 20th position in the end of that one. Phil, it's another got to the end of another race in the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series. How was the race for you a little bit further down?
Yeah, pretty much on my own, I think, most of the time, to be honest. It's not a track I really relish, so I couldn't bring myself to do an awful lot of practice, probably enough to just stay out of trouble, really. But I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Today I've got a harness and a motion sim, and I've actually attached the harnesses to the back wall, fastened them in, so when I'm braking I'm feeling all the pulls on my shoulders, but trying to get that right was a little bit difficult without garrotting myself.
Wow, that sounds quite severe, to be honest. In that one, how is it getting used to? I've never heard of anybody league rate doing an actual league with a motion sim. I know people jump in for 10-15 minutes to just do something on their own, but I've never seen anyone do an actual league with it. So how was it trying to race with other people and getting used to it all in one go?
Well, you probably find there's a fair few people actually on this on this channel that use motion sims, but I think that the art is to turn it right down. You just want enough clue, because I'm wearing VR as well. You just want enough clue to understand what's going on. But if you on the deceleration, because the harness is attached to the back wall, you feel it pulling you, which is a nice feeling, but it's a little bit off-putting if you don't quite get it right.
Yes, and I'd be scared it'd pull my house down, but there we are. Anyway, looking ahead, we'll hopefully see you in the next couple of weeks. How are you feeling about the likes of Mossport and Watkins Glen? Different challenges to come. You said you didn't really fancy this circuit, so what about the next couple?
Yeah, the next couple are much better for me. I know them reasonably well. And of course, when you like circuits, you tend to drive them a little bit more to practice. So hopefully, I will get out there and get a little bit higher. I usually not a great qualifier, but I can usually pick up places as I go around. But today was a bit of a struggle, to be honest.
Yeah, there we are. Well, there's always next week, I suppose. So we will look forward to that. But for now, thanks for coming to talk to us, and we'll see you in a week's time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
There we are, speaking to some of the drivers after the race. It's always good to hear from them after any race, particularly that one, because it was very, very close indeed and very, very exciting, especially in the midfield. In the end, it was John McCutcheon who took the victory by just a tenth and a half ahead of Simon Edwards in a fight that's turning very interesting between those two. We'll be back in a week's time here, though, for the next round of the UK and Ireland Radical Race Series. We'll be at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, same time, same place, so make sure you join us for that. But until then, it's goodbye for now.
I'm assuming that